Hmm. Got a little soul speak on the ascension that we all share. This unveiling, this apocalypse. You know, all this discussion of what is reality, conspiracy, heresy, truth that's stranger than fiction. Doesn't get any better than this. It's not just time to bring on the apocalypse, it's time to start riding it. It's not going to hurt us. Because one thing's for sure, in our conscious mind and even in our subconscious, if that's what you want to call it, we have always survived. And the reason for that is because we never die. So when it comes to ascension, what else is there to talk about? This ascension, unveiling, is not complicated. It's just a microcosm of the state of our being from any point, from this present moment to any point in our past. And in regard to the past, now we can look back to see, to awaken without the element of linear time. Yeah. Because the wisdom still comes. Because the universe is never late. That means we can take from our past the powerful wisdom of the eternal moments, seen when we unveil the hurts and the blame given and received. You know, we've reached a point where forgiveness will cease to exist. Because perfection did not create forgiveness, but as a path to a higher perfection, a new reflection of itself, of ourselves. Yeah, it's true. It's just not necessary forgiveness, and neither is earth love. So we can stop chasing both right now and all the false securities and failed searches that go with the lofty goals of a moral world. Both the things that they put beyond our reach and the reasons they gave us for not being able to reach them. It's time to re-enter the fold of the immortal, the fold of the I Am Soul. Hey, Franco.
Hi, Todd. How you doing?
What's happening?
Lots happening these days.
Ew, that's an understatement. Let me make a couple of announcements, if you will, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, we don't really follow any particular format here. If you guys live and on the replay could share, we would appreciate it. We have lost our ability to share again, and not that we do it that much, but we sure could use the help to stay above the algorithms at Facebook. And also thank you for your continued love and support, contribution to keep us going by the seat of our pants every day. We're out there doing our best, and we just want to say thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to do it. Welcome back, Franco. It's good to see you. I always look forward to talking to you. Probably one of, if not the most enjoyable shows that I get to do. So, thank you for coming back.
Well, thank you for having me back. And it's always the same with myself. It's always a pleasure to connect with you and to kind of play with things as they come about.
Yeah,
you're the most exciting interviews I've ever had in the many I've done for the years. So
really,
I always look forward to it.
Very cool. Oh, I feel
Well,
good.
it's great to see alignments, like
Yeah.
energies being a matching. It's not always that common to have such a beautiful dance together
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to play, and you like to play and
Absolutely.
expand and learn. You made reference to there's a lot going on right now. There is a lot going on. There's a lot of people on the move. Seems to be another leap of faith kind of scenario. Seems like the universal hand, Providence, is clearing out some 3D attachments for people by force or by their own surrender. What else am I observing? Yeah, there seems to be somewhat of a sense of urgency, which I don't really understand right now. And maybe that's just in my world. But that's about all I got. Now over to you.
Well, the sense of urgency that you're feeling is pretty commonplace for a lot of people. That especially if they are committed to making a change in their life and also be participating with the transformations taking place. So yeah, we've had some pretty intense energies. We're in the midst of another big shift that's going on. So I don't know if you've noticed, but on the 26th and 27th, which was just a couple of days ago, because yesterday was the 28th, today was the 29th, there was a real accentuation of our old aspects of ourselves. A lot of people had experienced some pretty powerful intensities in their life. They've noticed that a lot of things were kind of falling apart for them. And in fact, many people that I've connected with and so forth that said, okay, I surrender, and to hear that, a lot of people say that, but don't really mean it, because in essence, they're still wanting to fight whatever's going on or hold on to their old life. And there was a lot more people that were very convicted or committed to, okay, I surrender, whatever needs to take place. So the 26th, which was a couple of days ago, was pretty intense. Then 27th, which was even more intense for a lot of people. And then yesterday we started on a new path, which is part of that shifting that we're going in. So there was today, the 28th and today, being the 29th, are the 2 days that are energetically, we're getting energetic boosts. So it's really reviving us and really triggering within us our purpose, our core essence of ourselves. So it's almost like a reawakening of what you came here to do. That type of stirring is happening within, and it feels very powerful. And especially if people that have made commitments and are not so heavily bound up by the inverted 3D and 2D game. So it's interesting that we're having this call tonight, because tomorrow, being the 30th of August, is the start of the next level of transition. And that transition is actually the alignments of organic 3D and organic 5D. So all the people that are choosing to continue playing in the 3D will no longer be able to play with the inverted 3D and 2D as a fixed modality or fixed path, but they would be made available to go to the organic 3D. And what that means is that you're going into that part of that what you call parallel world that actually supports the organic 3D. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean you still don't have stuff to do and whatever else. The others that have already made some huge strides and from a soul level have made a commitment to start playing in the 5D, organic 5D part of it, will remain and play on this earth plane. So that starts tomorrow, and it's going to go all the way to the 15th of September.
Wow.
And then on the 16th of September, that's when we get another burst to lock in those changes. So what occurs is that our soul and our body will have one main focal point. Now, some people may have more than one, and I'll explain that briefly.
And when you're saying focal points, you're saying the inverted 2D or the inverted 3D or the organic 3D or the organic 5D.
Correct. So when we're talking about a focal point, you're going to be in basically the two focal points will be is organic 3D or organic 5D. Okay. The other ones will be something that you will be shedding off because it's no longer being supported for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So that process is like a relocation. And when we're talking about relocation, it's like we're switching channels, and we're going to be in an alternate planet, or what we call a parallel planet, that looks very similar, but is tuned for either organic 3D or organic 5D. The one that we're in now will actually be the organic 5D. The other one will be the organic 3D. But the 2D and inverted 3D will no longer be supported, so that'll start collapsing fairly quickly. Now, what happens is the percentage of people that go from one to the other is going to be quite a variance, because there's 3 to 1, basically, pretty well close to that ratio.
3 to 1.
Well, 3 parts, well, let's put it this way. 72% of the population has committed to going to organic 3D, and 28% has agreed to go to the organic 5D, for example.
These two different parallels actually exist in the same, like I'll be able to see someone in the other, either the 3D or the 5D, depending on which one I'm in.
Yeah, for a while you will, absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing is the mix here that makes it very interesting, and that was kind of the changes that was made a month and a half to 2 months ago. It could have been a little less. I lose track of time. Time just moves and has no bearings anymore.
Because you're an ET, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, yes. Originally, the plan was that if you're in organic 3D, you would lose access to the organic 5D people. So they all of a sudden 28% of the people just disappear. Okay, and they wouldn't be in your reality, and vice versa. Where if you're in organic 5D, you lose contact with 72%. But that didn't, in the simulation, that didn't seem to work so well, because people would react and so forth. So now it's, even though they're two parallel worlds, they're overlapping. So you're going to see each other for a period of time, and eventually over time, and it could take a while, you start to see them less and less in your reality, because in essence, so what you're seeing is not really them. You're seeing a version of them.
Yeah.
In your life,
yeah.
And vice versa. The other way, they're seeing a version of us. Now, some so-called people that are actively being trained, facilitators, will be able to see both and be in both at the same time, but switching back and forth in a sense where your focal point will be in either one or the other, but you are both in both places. So you're facilitating both the organic 3D and the organic 5D. That's a very small percentage, but there are people that will be doing that. So that's the intent. And we've also, as the update of just as of yesterday, I think it was yesterday, yes. Our inverted matrix is about 60% disabled. So we're getting even less streaming into our ego minds, which is the basic software and the receiver transmitter of what we call the inverted matrix, so that we create our reality based on that operating system. So all these things have changed, and you're going to feel and notice a lot of different changes in the next little while, for sure.
I'm already starting to feel it. And then with what you're describing, God, I need to write these down as I'm going. But so one of the things, so let's see, it would have been, it was very intense. And I don't mean like, it didn't throw me off my game, which would have been like the period you're describing, the last 2-3 days. So last night, after a very powerful night with Morgan and some friends, a lot of shifting, a lot of elevating, I went to bed and I had massive lucid dreams, just the messages were just coming in. And then I woke up and I was a little bit off planet, and Morgan came in the room, and I think I snapped at her for a second and said, "Oh, I'm not okay." Then I knew, and I was like, I'm not okay. But anyway, I did a show. I went back and I had to go lay down again. I was out hard for 2.5 hours, and the stuff was coming in just like it was during the night. And I could recognize some of it. I could see what was happening. I certainly could feel the changes in my DNA over the last 2 and 3 days. It's just been massive. And I've been drinking the hell out of water, but it doesn't even make a difference. But my body's telling me this is what's happening. But what I was going to say is that I think the dominant thought today, and this would be from the human going, okay, let me get on the planet and figure out what's happening here and get my feet on the ground, was along the lines of what you were saying about, I know my mission. I've known my mission. I know my mission, and I'm in 100,000% period into story. But the other side of it was almost like I no longer, if I could get it right, I no longer I don't have a tolerance anymore for these excuses of I am only human, so I can't do this. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the company I keep. And I'm not trying to say that I'm anything, but I'm just saying I'm in. I'm in, and I feel the universe supporting and pushing. And it's like, either let go or be dragged, or just move forward. And whoever comes isn't the point. The point is I'm supposed to move forward and let's go. Wagons ho, so I kind of understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, but that's kind of like the way it came through, which to me tells me that, that's the way I received it. But yeah, so that's exciting. So now you're saying that beginning tomorrow through the 15th or 16th, there's a period where, well, can you just restate it?
Yeah, it's a period of what occurs is a relocation. And that's the word that the beings that I've worked with call it, a relocation, meaning that the souls and physicalities that are operating on this blended planet, because the planet that we're on right now is blended. It has 2D, inverted 3D, it has organic 3D, it has 4D, and it has 5D. Okay, so it's being clustered in two. So this one here remains as the 5D because the planet is already vibrating and also emanating that. And our inner planet is also wanting to merge energetically with us. That has been 5D for a very long time. And so
that's the inner planet, you said?
Inner Earth, yes.
Inner Earth. Okay.
Yes.
That resonates big time.
Okay. So, and now there's a column of connection, a column of light that actually works with many of us that is coming right from the crystal, from the center of the Earth, which is our inner planet, that is streaming through us to kind of assist in whatever we're doing on the planet itself. Okay.
I saw that last night, by the way.
There you go.
I saw that. Yeah.
So that part's taking place. So the relocation is that the parallel world that was built, which is kind of overlaid on this Earth here, is now going to be fine-tuned to the point that that frequency will host the organic 3D, and then all the souls that want to go and still. Now, the reason that the organic 3D is maintained, so that you understand, is that there are many, many souls that are feeling that they're not ready to go into fifth dimensional consciousness because there's a lot that they miss out from organic 3D all the way to organic 5D, because it's a whole, when you're going into organic 5D, it's a whole different level of consciousness. Your body carries a different energy. The way you create, how you interact, how you feel, how you communicate, all of that is upgraded to a level that may not provide you the same level of experiences that the organic 3D will give you.
So you they don't want to miss out on something that would okay. And now
exactly.
I just want to make sure I get this right, although I don't think this is trivial, but so the existing, so the inner Earth is already 5D. It wants to merge. The surface of the Earth will be the organic 5D. And
it already is, yes.
Okay, it already is. And then the 3D organic is an overlay temporarily, whatever, onto it. And so, okay. Now, so people don't get confused because I say that because they're not here, but there's a lot of like, oh, they're in 5D and we're in 3D. You've already explained that there's a difference between the inverted 3D, which is being taken out, and the organic 3D. The 3D organic, 5D organic are both good. I mean, that's where you get adjust reciprocation from the universe. It's much more, there's not a lot of chaos, all that stuff, right? What would be the difference, just in a summation, a short summation, between the 3D and the 5D, so people might be able to alleviate any concerns they'd have that they're going to be in a place that's less than comfortable? Okay.
Well, as for, if we use the reference of what we've been experiencing up to this point in time, like just to clarify, a lot of people talk about, we're in 3D, we're in 3D, we're in 3D. Okay. I want to leave the 3D and I want to go on 5D because they're relating to the current experience, what they've been living since they arrived. and it's been labeled as 3D, but it really never was and never is. Well, it was 10,000 years ago, but it isn't or hasn't been for the last 10,000 years. So what they're referring to is the inverted 3D and 2D. Well, the inverted 3D, everything's backwards. Everything works opposite. Instead of nurturing and supporting us, it's actually doing the opposite. You can see every system that we have, from medical to educational to any sort of form of government, any form of any corporation, business, whatever you call it, everywhere that you look, everything works backwards.
Yeah.
Meaning that it's never for the highest good for all concerned. It's always about polarity. It's always about winning, losing. Yeah. It's always about, running on emotions and programs and fears and survival and so forth. Which is totally opposite from our natural state of being, okay? And then when you go into 2D, now 2D is actually a total disconnect from anything except for a physical form. So you see yourself as a physical form existing on a planet that you're accidentally dropped here or placed here, whatever it is, they don't even know how, and then they die. And there's nothing in between. They got to play the game, and there's nothing in between. At least the inverted 3D has a little bit of a reference that, oh, there must be something outside of it. Maybe still experiencing it separate. Okay, there's a God there, and then there's me. There's a superior being, and then there's the lower being of us. That's what's in the inverted matrix. When you're going into the organic matrix, organic 3D, I mean, when you're in the organic 3D, the inverted matrix will no longer have an effect, which will be phased out at the end of the year, by the way, by the 21st of December. But in the organic 3D, you basically, the reversal part starts to deteriorate and it starts to go in alignment. So in essence, you start to experiencing oneness. Yeah. But it's the first level of oneness. The first level of oneness, seeing that each one of us are aspects of each other, and then we're all here to play together, to facilitate each other, and so forth. Yeah. The other thing you'll notice is that you are not going to create through polarity any longer. You're no longer winning, losing. It's no longer about putting power into any of that other games that we've played before. So in organic 3D, you know that you are basically, the way you look at it, you say, well, I'm a physical being that has a spiritual side to myself. And that means I have something more than this physical experience. So I'm having a physical experience. All right. Or let's call it this way. I'm a human right now, having a human experience that also has a divine spirit experience. Right. Okay. And you create accordingly. So there is more a unification, collaboration, and so forth in creating an environment and also changing the systems that we have now that is more balanced, harmonious, and to support one another so that it no longer has to be survival, because you're not going to be playing with survival. Now, that takes a while to deprogram and then to actually allow our natural program to take over. But so the big difference I say to people is that when you are fully integrated in organic 3D, the game is not going to be the way it is now. Yeah. It's going to already feel like a level of nirvana. It's going to feel like, oh, I'm in 5D, because in comparison, it's like a huge leap, because it is a huge leap, because nothing is backwards and nothing is totally separated, because the separation thing breaks down to the point you don't see yourself separates anymore. When you're going into 5D, organic 5D, now you're basically a spiritual being, full reference that you're a spiritual being having a human experience, and you're accessing just a lot higher level of consciousness. So you do create different levels of experience. However, you're not as integrated in the human body as much. So you will not.
I don't want to get too far off on the 5D, but what does that mean? You're not. Because I mean, 72% of us are going to be in the organic 3D. So I just want to, I don't want to like spend too, but what I wanted to say was, what does that mean? You're not fully integrated in the human body. Are we beginning to be like light beings, more into our light body where we can like travel, teleport, that type of stuff?
Yes, when you're getting into the higher dimensions, you're becoming more light bodies. Now, everybody's body is increasing in becoming a light body, but the level of light body, the level that it accesses. So let's put it this way. In organic 3D, you can experience the physicality and everything in the physicality a little bit more realistically. Okay, so you can feel it more real.
Okay.
In the organic 5D, when you're actually fully integrated there, the realism is dropped, but you have a higher reference point of a spiritual being, so that in fact that, you know, the level of communication and things of that change. So there's less talk, less interchanging of the same way that, you know, we would from a physical perspective per se.
Yeah.
But that takes a while to get into. So that's the difference. So this is why a lot of the souls were saying, you know, the organic 3D is what we would prefer, because we still haven't had the opportunity to live through the body and experience all of those parts.
So they
now,
want
the ones that are choosing the organic 5D already have had a lot of that experience and have actually souls that have come like from other planets or have come as star seeds or anything like that, that already are looking forward to play in that realm rather than the organic 3D.
So in other words, a lot of the choice of people that are choosing the, let's say, the 3D organic isn't necessarily because they're afraid, or it's not, they would like to actually experience in a more physical way anything and everything, whether it be eating, sex, I mean, dancing, whatever, you know. So that's pretty cool. That sounds good. Now, in terms of, you made this statement where it's almost going to feel a little bit nirvana-ish, or it is, because because that whole backwards thing is out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Of even the organic 3D. So that would only make sense, and I'm just going to ask the question, that the things that are backwards, such as the financial structure, such as government, such as all the stuff, all the isms, are going to be basically going through the same thing. I guess they're going to be taken away or removed or altered, or
at first it gets altered so that it is more natural in the way it works, and it gives accessibility to everyone rather than being controlled by a few and controlled by systems and not having a balance and harmony or harmonization. Eventually, moving along, the importance of it and how it actually moves along starts to be removed. Like, for example, right now, you look at it, our whole world at this point in time is driven by money.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what choices are made, what, what we do and don't do, how we do it, don't do it, what we keep and don't keep, being technology, being any services or anything, is all governed by money.
Yeah.
So that being the fact of being governed by money, then if something that's going to be beneficial, for example, like free energy or something, just as a simple example, that does not support the system that says, no, we got to be driven by money and we have to have the haves and have-nots, because all of a sudden the oil industry goes down, all the distribution systems go down, the vehicles change, everything changes. So all of these industries go down. And now this exchange of money and keeping profits and all of that stuff all starts to evaporate. And so because the focus is on the money, saying, oh, no, we're not going to drop that in any way, shape, or form. I don't care if it's polluting us or doing whatever it is, we're going to hold on to it. So when we start to integrate the organic 3D, you start looking at it and say, well, that's no longer an importance, because money comes out of thin air anyways, and it's just a made up concept. It was never our natural state, because once we go into fully organic 3D, which could take 1 or 2 years before you get into it, or maybe longer than that, depending on how fast people can deprogram and how much because there's going to be stages of it going in, but you're going to find that you're not going to even apply money as a vehicle of any sort, because now it's about everybody offering what they offer, and they do it without any measure who gives what or whatever it is. And people naturally in their natural state are not takers and not sharers. They share. Yeah. Okay. They share, they receive, they don't hoard, they don't try to own, they don't try to control or anything of that nature. And that's already in organic 3D.
That seems to be that seems to be something that was presented to us in our little world, which as the individual goes, so goes the collective. And I'm just wondering, that seems to be there would have to be, well, a natural level of universal trust coming from the individual, knowing, like, just say I had my last loaf of bread and there 4 people came over. I'm like, here, let's have dinner, you know, with the bread, not worrying about tomorrow, because knowing the universe is going to kick in. It would seem to me that there would be some type of, at least at the individual level, but at some level in the collective, that it's not backwards anymore.
Right. And there won't be a situation of, for example, there's going to be a lack, because you know, when we look at it, the way that we are actually designed is that our true design, before all the heavy layered programs that we've taken on, is that we're always sharing, we're always contributing, we're always, you know, wanting to create an environment that we all have fun, all nurture, all benefit, all flourish, and so forth. So it's not even so much a universal aspect of it, is the fact that we've created the systems that you can just get whatever you need, when you need it, how you need it, because everybody's kind of contributing. It's like a community,
yeah.
But it's a community where, you know, there's not like, oh, you brought 1 loaf of bread, you're only going to get 1 fish, for example. I'm just giving you an example.
No, I got you. I got you.
It's like, I got 10 fish. I happen to have 3 loaves of bread. That's all. Share it amongst us. Nobody's going to say, you gave more or gave less, because people are going to feel normally to give more.
That all doesn't even apply. That's what you're saying. So that wasn't a good example I brought up, because I wouldn't even have thought, not to think. So it would seem to me now 60% of the inverted 3D is gone, right? Is that right? And then it's going to be totally removed by, just say, December 21st, based on today's projections. Okay.
Correct.
It would just seem to me that in that organic 3D, I mean, the 5D must be just off the chain, you know, but I mean, the organic 3D, that the reality of it not being backwards would have to set in like almost immediately. It would like catch like a wildfire, you would think. I mean, the occurrences in our daily life would just seem to be like, you know, little miracles, based on the conditioning and the experience that we've had so far.
Yeah, so the only thing that would slow it down in any way, shape, or form is the amount of programming that we may still be adhered to. Okay, so what the inverted matrix does is actually streaming that level of consciousness of separation, about, you know, everything being backwards and everything else. Once that stream cuts off, the only thing that's left is our program default response, our patterns that are to deprogram or basically start eliminating it. Yeah. So yes, it's going to seem a lot easier, because right now, every time you make you make some progress of letting something go, you're constantly being bombarded by this streaming that everything is inverted. So that this is the way life is. So that starts, and so things will accelerate a lot quicker than it would be, because one of the simulations that was done some time ago, this is several years ago actually, when the simulation was done in a parallel world to see how long it would take for us to step out of our current state through a constant streaming of the inverted matrix and a constant streaming of all of those channels being in place, it was going to take about 200 years before we would make enough of a progress to simulate an organic 3D. Yeah. Another 200 years, okay? Yeah. So that was not acceptable, because from a galactic perspective, because we are being brought back in. We were quarantined. We got brought back in online with the galactic, and the galactic has advanced quite tremendously in comparison to our planet. Not that, you know, there's anything wrong with that, but it's like we have to go back into alignment. So how can we facilitate now? That's stimulate. We still have to do it ourselves. When I say ourselves, as a collective of humans, but we're being supported and we're, you know, facilitated in different ways so that we, you know, can speed things up. And that's without removing the planet, saying, okay, we'll take that planet out of the equation and let's create a new one, you know, type of thing. And then all the beings on there are gone. They all go back into soul state and non-form. And then we'll create a new planet and they can take on new form. That didn't make any sense to do, because there's such a richness of what we've experienced here that, you know, it plays a really powerful role in the galactic level. So that's the reason that we're, being assisted here, but we're doing it.
Will there be, do you think there'll be, I got up the other day, 4 or 5 days ago, and I told Morgan, I said, I think like we're at a point where like we've hit where, at least for me, I was talking about me, really not anybody else, that 51%, at least 51% of my total memory has come in. Like at some level, even if it's a highly intuitive level, but there's some level. Do you think that when someone is in the 3D organic, as they get into it, that they'll have a substantial part of their soul memory to be able to recall that, other lives, other planets, that type of thing?
Yeah, they will, depending on what they have to accomplish and finish on their journey. The more that they've moved forward, they'll have more of those stimulation of the memories and seeing themselves more than this human physicality. So they will have reference point of taking on different forms. Like there's going to be two streams of memory that comes in. Okay, one stream of the memory is basically our human entity memory, all the human lives that you have taken on. Okay, and then you have your soul memory, which will be other forms of lives that you had on other planets. The beauty of those memories is because you're bringing the richness, the experience that you've gained, the knowledge you've gained, the wisdom you've gained, the consciousness that you've gained from being on different planes and different physicalities and so forth. So then you can bring that into your human experience and really start molding it more and more beyond what we've experienced up to this point in time. Because, we are easily malleable in the sense of how we operate. However, because of what we've been playing for so long, it seemed almost impossible to do so, because every step you took, you got knocked over, sort of thing. So what you said, remembering 51% or even, that memory will be sort of intuitive at first, and you may even have in your dreams, you may have flashes of being in a physical form, and you may remember some of the experiences, you may remember some of the feelings, you may remember some of the energies that you were exposed to. And then when you wake up from the dream, for example, or even the lucid dream, that stays in you, and it's already started to alter your perception, started to alter how your body feels and responds, and the richness of what you see around you starts to accentuate.
You think on the 3D, and I hate to keep spending so much time on the 3D organic, but I do want to go to the 5D, definitely. Do you think in the 3D organic, I guess this would only make sense that if everything is not backwards, that things such as telepathy with animals or even rocks or the wind or whatever, even the potential of interaction with our other aspects and that type of thing, all of that stuff that we might consider woo-woo is going to increase for everybody.
Absolutely. Yes, the more of the program that, we can't do that because that's been conditioned in us, but it's not our natural state, because our natural state is easy to communicate with any sentient being on the planet. And also even with Gaia, with, any elements too, because everything has something to offer. Now, is it going to be a conversation? No, it's going to be a telepathic communication. And even if you're touching a tree, for example, you will be able to sense the experience that tree has gained from its observation and from its point, right? The other things that also change in the organic 3D, that the reliance of the food chain or anything of that nature starts to reverse. In fact, we will get most, and if not all, at some point, our nourishment or energy in our body just from the environment, from the sun, from the air, from any water that we're exposed to, just from the energy around us.
Does that mean my stomach's going to go down? I'm just kidding.
Well, let's put it this way. you won't be digesting a lot of food. So in essence, your body will go to its natural state, because our bodies reflect, bellies and weight and all of that stuff. That's not really our design. Our design is very lean and slim, but at the same time, it's very strong, and it's very nurturing, because it's very supportive. It repairs itself. It continues to rejuvenate on a regular basis. By eating food, we've actually shortened our lifespan, or have created additional burdens that is using vitality from our body. Like, it's using all our metabolic enzymes and so forth for digestion. And the metabolic enzymes are actually the part that actually repairs and regenerates new cells and keeps you vibrant, right?
Yeah.
So with going into the organic and start reversing all of that, the organic 3D, and getting the more cleaner, you're no longer ingesting food and so forth only as a sensorial experience, and sometimes just to enjoy that part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not a reliance for you to survive or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Then the enzymes and all the chemistry rebalances in your body, recharges itself, so you actually start reversing in the aging process. Because even in the organic 3D, the body, when it's restored completely, has the capacity to live 1,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mind blowing at this point, but
I tell you what, I absolutely believe I'm going to live 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. I heard that in Hawaii 3-4 months ago. Act like it had more to do with, I got to hurry up and do this, and we got to do that, and got to get a website and all that stuff. And I just heard, you got 1,000 years to do it. Don't worry, it's all going to happen. And then Morgan started getting that. I forget how she said it. She just said she kept hearing 1,000 years. But I totally, even like in an intuitive level, even going back to when I was very, very young, totally remember like an aging process, and I remember not concerned at all about it, knowing that it would stop and be reversed before it ended. And that's the truth. So I can't be the only one. So now,
the other thing too, this is interesting, Todd. You can probably connect with that. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, go ahead.
As a child, the concept of aging, the concept of struggle, and any of that stuff is so foreign.
Yeah.
So it's only later on, with the exposure and programming and watching others and hearing over and over again that you're going to age, you're actually activating those codes that were artificial codes that were put in the first place that start the aging process. Because the growing process is not the aging process. For the example, a child starts as a young body and growing into a mature body at age 20, 21, whatever that age would be. That's normal. The stuff that happens afterwards, the accelerated aging process, that's the programmed part. That's the part that is not natural. Because for you to look 21 for 600-700 years, that's normal.
Yeah.
From our original design.
Yeah. And I remember getting this, and I do pick up what you're saying. I got okay, so like when you're born and you start developing, the speed of information that you're taking in is, it's always going like that, right? Up until like 18, 19, 20, whatever. But the amount of information that's being taken in is phenomenal. And then obviously it slows down. But what I was getting was now over the last couple of years or whatever, it's increasing. We're taking in more and more information. We're taking in much faster, and that affects everything about us, which is to include the subject that you're talking about. So, to me, that's another little bit of evidence for those who are still struggling with, is this really happening?
Yeah,
because I think the whole idea. Sometimes I think the flash that people talk about, the flash or the wave or whatever, is actually when enough people go, hey, wait, this actually is real. That's the flash.
Yeah.
Hello. It's more like a light bulb going off in our head, right?
So what you were saying about the information, for from childbirth to the time that you're, 18, 19 years old, that you're gaining a lot of information, you're basically, what you're receiving is information that gives you some level of understanding how to play the game. The information that we're receiving now you will notice, okay, if you pay attention to it, and you probably already observed, the stuff that really is inverted 3D, 2D, all that other stuff really doesn't stick in, you're not retaining it. It's almost like there's no interest whatsoever. But when there's something that sparks that knowing with you, now you become a sponge. You probably have noticed that, you're not going to read newspapers. You're not going to go through all of this other stuff that you were normally, but all of a sudden you find something very nurturing and information that goes more in where you're at because of higher consciousness. Now it's like, oh yeah, I got to dive right in there. And you remember it. You actually stimulate your own memories of knowing of things that you've had. So what happens is the what you remember changes from then to now. And now you're gaining wisdom. You're also remembering facets of you that kind of were put into a dormant state. Yeah, because now it's not important anymore for you to play the game. You're now redesigning the game. Go ahead.
Which actually, well, I'm not going to say actually because I'm not an expert, but which would seem to have some physical ramifications. And what I mean by that is I was talking to my two friends last night, and we were talking about borders and laws and rules and identity, IDs and all that stuff, papers, basically. And we were just talking, you get that flow going, and everybody's, in that higher. And one of us said, it's almost like, and this is the perfect example of what you said, like we're going to get to a certain point, and enough memory is going to be activated. It's almost like a Mandela effect. In other words, the laws that were applicable, the borders that were applicable, or whatever was applicable, you get to a certain point and those memories are engaged, and that therefore, as a quantum creator, or however you want to put it, changes the memory. And if you change the memory, then you change the reality. Would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. And that spark that you're talking about is that each individual, get to a certain point of remembrance and activation within yourself, that it automatically you shift. You have that spark where you're going from old world to complete creator essence that you are. And now you start shaping everything accordingly. And the same thing with borders, laws, and all of that stuff that we've given a lot of power to and definition to and so forth. Now it won't even make any sense. And it's like, why are we dividing all of this? I mean, and all of that starts to disassemble the fact of, having, countries and so forth, and you belong here and you belong there, and, being patriotic to one place or another. That would not make any more sense after some time, because you realize this whole race is all one race, having different experiences and together. And you will not want to be restricted to one place. You want to be able to move around. Even the whole idea of ownership won't be interesting, because it's like, why do I need to own stuff when we can just share it amongst each other? And all of us are keepers.
That would be cool. Just drive down the road and go find a place. But and that's actually mind-blowing to the human psyche to think that the actual, because you see these, for instance, the Mandela effect thing, which I never put too much time into, because it always gets back to the same thing. Well, there's evidence here, there's this side and that side, but it sounds like we're moving into, sounds like the organic 3D, and I'm sure the organic 5D, where the reality of reality, without the distortion, the distraction, and the inverted 3D and all that the physical evidence is going to be like, like literally a blink of the eye in I guess in some way, it could be seen as instant manifestation. When you have a memory come back up and it changes, it changes what was, no longer applies, that trauma is no longer there because it never existed in the first place. Things like forgiveness won't even be there. I mean, it's just, it seems like it's just, to me, that it would move very, very rapidly, even if you're in a organic 3D, which is certainly not, like you've said many times on this show, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's a very supportive environment, for our development. But
yes,
will the 3D and the 5D be meshed together the entire time that the 3D is playing out, the organic 3D is playing out? And second question would be, what is the biggest difference between the 3D and the 5D beyond just having a more physical experience?
Okay, so the first part of the question is that would the 3D and 5D be meshed for a period of time where you're actually seeing the two sides of it? You may be experiencing more of the 5D or the more of the 3D, but you will see the other aspects of it for a period of time. And that could take only a few years before it all completely disappears. You won't even actually see it any longer. It depends how fast both clusters of people in either one get to a point where they don't have a requirement. So for example, if the 5D, for example, will get to a point where they have no more reliance or connections to the 3D, then the 3D will disappear. They won't even see them anymore, period. Okay. But the 3D may not be done with the 5D for a little longer. For example, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
It could go the other way, right? But so in fact, so the 3D may see the overlay of the 5D, and they won't see it as 5D. They'll see a representation of 3D in the physicalities that are in 5D playing out in 3D, so that they have a comfort that they still exist in their reality. But eventually they start to disappear. It's like the Mandela effect, right? So it's going to be a Mandela effect where we're going to see these players, these other aspects of ourselves, until we get to a state of realization and where there's no dependency of this to be there. And all of a sudden you notice that it's changed. They're not there anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so that will take whatever time it takes. Now, the other part that you didn't ask the question, but I'll give you this part too. The way it's set up right now, the idea, the way it's set up is that the organic 3D will have only a 15-year term.
Yeah.
So then the 3D, the organic 3D, whatever is left of the organic 3D, because as the individuals get to a certain advancement and they're done, they can actually merge into 5D very easily.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gone. So eventually you have 15 years to experience the way it is right now, unless they extend it or change it. 15 years, 2035. They have until 2035 to be able to experience the organic 3D before they have to merge into organic 5D or leave the physicality altogether. But a lot of them will say, I'm ready for organic 3D because I've enriched myself in the organic 5D because I've enriched myself in the organic 3D. So that's that part of it. What was the other question you asked?
Well, then what's the
the difference?
The biggest difference beyond the more physical experience? I guess that could be the whole thing, really. But
yeah, so when we're talking about 5D, it's really just the level of consciousness. So someone in a fifth dimensional consciousness has more awareness of its sourceness as a being. So their reference point is much higher as a being than a human. Where organic 3D is more a reference point of more of a human than a being.
Okay.
So you will create more humanized, or what you call human natural program of experiencing life in your reality. Where in the 5D, you're more in the being state. So now actually the body becomes more of a vehicle and as to support the beingness that you are, so that you will actually no longer require the same things that you may want to still experience in the organic 3D, so that you're not going to put so much importance on a lot of the sensorial components, language, or to play the game in a more realistic way. So in essence, and plus in organic 5D, you create reality a lot faster. So that means you enter it, you experience it, and you turn it off. Yeah. You're creating, the thing that people say moment by moment. Well, it would be very different each moment. Instead of very incremental changes, it'll be much more larger changes. Or they can actually reduce it, but they have the freedom to do so with understanding of that. The other part of the organic 5D that becomes part of a component in the experience is that the way the body changes, the way the body acts, and how it actually functions is more. Let's put it this way: it's a lighter body, so it's not heavy maintenance. It doesn't require, and I'm saying organic 3D doesn't have heavy maintenance either, but there is some form of maintenance, where in 5D there's even less maintenance whatsoever. So you don't have to put so much attention to nurture the body in the same way, because the body now binds to that spirit state much easier.
Yeah.
The other thing is, to in the organic 5D, you will be more receptive to having visitors from other planets, because you will relate with them much easier. There won't be that separation of seeing, oh, they're beings, I'm human, or anything like that. The recognition is spirit to spirit, or what you call being to being, source to source, in different physicalities. And there is a little bit more of that. Now, all of this will take some time while the integration and the reprogramming takes place.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not going to happen overnight, but when you're there, it's going to move very exponentially. Thank you. That's the word.
Happens to me all the time.
Yes. Thank you for that. So it will move a lot quicker through that.
Okay. So, okay. So let's just recap it for the people and for me. So we've got a 5D organic plane now. We've got a 3D organic plane now. We still got the inverted 3D, inverted 2D, which is 60% obsolete or wiped out.
Yes.
We're seeing that. We're seeing this stuff isn't making sense. It doesn't have the effect. False flags, whatever, all that stuff. So 21st December, as things look right now, the inverted matrix is all gone. So there's only the two realms within the realm, basically, the 3D organic, 5D organic.
Once the inverted matrix is off, then we are going to receive all our transmissions from the organic matrix, because the planet has the original organic matrix that has been online and updated on a constant basis. The inverted matrix has not been upgraded and not been online. It's been upgraded, but it's been upgraded by developers, writers of the software program, sort of thing. So that comes in, and then we start to connect with our more natural, what we call matrix. Every planet has a matrix. Yeah. It is what keeps, it's like the main operating software.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like a video game, or even like your computer, if somebody has a Mac that has a Mac OS, whatever they call it, operating system. If it's a PC, it's going to have Microsoft type of operating system. And that's kind of how it works. So we'll go back to our original operating system versus the implanted operating system that was put in place.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a funny thought. These developers and writers, I hope they quarantine them and move them to another universe, because otherwise a few billion people probably would hunt them down. I'm kidding, but now it sounds like that the 5D organic is going to have a perpetual run. Is it going to be a full blown stop in the multiverses that people can go have or souls can go have an experience on in perpetuity? I mean, in perpetuity has always been available.
The organic 3D?
5D.
Yes. And when you're into organic 5D, that has a period of time too. Now, it's not a very short period of time, but it's a period of time where it's also going to host 6D and 7D. And in fact, the planet could go up to 12D. Now, that'll take quite some time before we get there, because there are different stages that, everybody will have to go through. But yes, it will be available for beings from other planets, even souls that have not taken on form and so forth, to come in and experience the 5D. And the organic 3D also will be available, but until so far 2035. So if they come right near the end, they can only have a short-term play there before they would leave. Now, there's another. This shows that we're talking about right now. We're going into some pretty heavy stuff here. So I did not intend to go this far with this.
Yeah, we're all ears, everyone.
Okay. So I know to a lot of people that this is going to be like, what? Are they crazy? Whatever. Or, just have an open mind. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to adhere to it. Just let your own resonance be the governor here. So in regards to what was I going to say now? I've forgotten what I was going to
Well, you
say.
said you were going to go really deep. We were talking about the 5D and the reality that it's going to be a realm in perpetuity.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes. So as part of the experience there, as we know, we have human entities and we have souls. Okay.
Yeah.
So the human entities itself will actually be retooled. Now, to balance to the organic 3D. So a lot of that process has already started. More of it will be when we're in there. So all the memories that had very heavy ingraining in the inverted matrix will get purged.
Yeah.
Okay. And the key components that it learned from it that can be used in the organic 3D or the organic 5D will remain. The other part, here's the other component to it. There will be souls on either organic 3D and organic 5D that may only do a 1-year term or whatever period of time and say, okay, I got what I needed and I'm not even interested in organic 5D right now. I'm going to leave. So it leaves. That means the physicality is now available for another soul to drop in. And that soul, another soul can drop in and take over what the human entity and the body has already achieved and the experiences and the memory and the overall consciousness there, and then carry on so that the souls will have more opportunities to come and play. So there'll be more of that happening in out type of thing, just so that it's not going to be where it's going to see that I want to go in long term, for the whole rest of the part. Now there will be that too, but that opening, it's already happening now, but it's going to be a lot more accentuated. And again, it's because you can make much more progress. You don't have to spend as much time in a physicality to have a soul reach whatever advancement it wants to achieve.
Yeah. And if all those distorted, false, 3D inverted experiences and memories and consequences, I guess, for lack of a better word, are all going to be wiped out. I mean, they're all going to be gone. That in itself would just, to me, would be almost like an instantaneous change if it hits. And I realize it's not going to hit everybody at the same time, but it's got to be pockets here and there. I mean, this thing's got to be really sparking up at this point, and that's right around the corner, isn't it? I mean, that's right around the corner, end of the year, right?
Yes, exactly. And as we go along, you'll notice that the accentuation and the speeding up process and so forth will occur. Now, the more on board, the quicker we go on board as a collective for each of the realms, or basically 3D and 4 and 5D. The quicker the systems will come down, the quicker we will redesign things, the quicker we will work together to create something that's very sustainable.
Yeah.
Because when we look at it deep inside, we already are living that world.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to experience it in a physical body. That's the only thing, because the physical body's been heavily programmed. Yeah. And that's why all of what we've been going through, this acceleration, which the first level acceleration started in 1987. And then another boost happened in 2012 and another boost in 2017. And then we had a very different year in 2018. And this is the pinnacle year where a lot of changes are occurring, because all the alignments that a lot of the stuff that's happening now was really originally intended for shortly after 2012.
Yeah.
To actually go a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But there was such an outcry for souls, believe it or not, saying, no, we're not done. We're not ready. It's too fast. We want to still, have.
Thank you, sir. Give me another.
Exactly. So it got delayed. Yeah. So the stuff that was supposed to happen in 2012, only at the end of 2012, going into 2013, only started in 2017. Now, that doesn't mean nothing happened. A lot happened already in 2012, but we could not utilize it to the fullest extent.
Right. No, I get that. Now, a quick thing too, now, just so people can understand, because it is semi-complicated, and this is not, I think we're all ready for this and more, whatever you got. So in the cases in the past, and even in these cases of the future that you're describing, where a soul will come in and do a year maybe and say, I've had enough. I don't want to go to the 5D. I'm in 3D organic, leaves, and another one comes in. The human entity that you talk about still has a memory of its entire human experience, whether it was this soul or that soul or another soul that was in the body at the time. So that's our human entity connection, I guess is what I'm saying. The soul itself has its own experience or life or lifetimes or whatever. And this human entity is one of them, right?
Yes.
So the human entity, I just want to say, so the human entity, Franco, the human entity, Todd, there seems like there is a finite run here, but I think would there not be at some level, and not that I'm attached to it in any way, because I'm not, that entity has some type of perpetuity itself, some type of eternal impression in the universe.
Oh, absolutely. And it reincarnates. See, this is the thing. We have two levels of reincarnation. We have soul reincarnation and human entity reincarnation. Now, the only thing is that the human entity actually has chosen, which is a facet of soul anyways, that has chosen to actually be present on the human planet and to only incarnate on the human planet. Because look at it this way. Your soul may have never had a human experience or very, very limited human experience and has had experiences on different planets, for example, and also in non-form. When it comes into the body, it is very foreign. It will not know really how to operate the body, how to actually utilize the experience of being human. In fact, it'll be so awkward because it doesn't have a history of how it is to be in a human body, how to operate, and all that stuff. So it really, really relies on the human entity that has that consistency. Okay. And basically the soul says, okay, you show me the ropes. I do not know how to function here.
Yeah.
I will share you the wisdom that I carry from other planets that we can easily integrate and upgrade the collective human entity. And so that we both benefit from this experience. You help me navigate the human experience. I will give you outside of the human experience, and we'll dance together.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
I like that. And that is true. I mean, and it's weird. It's really weird when, not weird, but I mean, it's intriguing when you talk about the human entity and versus, I guess the soul. Or aspects of the soul, and if I look at my personal intel as Todd for the last 8 years, and even before, really, the whole I am soul, and then the human is the hero. It's almost like the human is being birthed as, in even this species, even this realm. To me, it just seems like we're coming out, like we're being accepted. We're being, you said, brought back into the galactic. It feels to me like it's even much bigger than that. Like we're elevating, we're ascending, I guess. Now, these ascension episodes, they occur everywhere, all through the multiverses, all the time?
Yes. And really what the ascension is, so that people understand it, is just basically us accessing higher level of consciousness and increasing our vibration and frequency so that we go to another level of creation, another level of expression, another level of designing realities and experiencing and enriching ourselves in those. So every time we're going into what we call ascension, it is another level of birthing of another higher level of ourselves, a next step closer to sourceness, while having some form of experience, either being human or any other species that exists in our galaxy and universe and so forth.
Yeah. Very cool. So we've got August 30th through September 16th, and this is a ramp up, right? I mean, it's another, how would you describe this?
Well, the 28th and 29th has been the preparation and ramp up. The 30th to the 15th is the actual designation, relocation of the two channels. So basically crystallizing two channels, even though the two channels will overlap for a little while. But the two channels will be completely, and then the souls with their physicality will go to either of the two channels. Okay. So And that will be completed by the 15th. And then there's a locking process that happens on the 16th energetically to kind of, okay, you're grounded here. Here's your passports. Let's start playing with that.
That's the one I want.
Yes.
The hell with this other one. No, okay, so you get locked in September 16th. You're 3D organic, you're 5D organic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we spend the next, 3 months getting acclimated, integrating that reality as the inverted 3D and 2D are removed.
Yes. As that becomes no longer the streaming, and then the only thing that's left is what's left in memory and what's left in patterns, and that we will deprogram as we go along.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have been doing that in their own right.
Yeah. This started a long time ago. Yeah. It's just it's been a little harder. I shouldn't say a little. It's been a lot harder because when everything around you is pushing you the opposite, you really need that inner drive to be the forefront, because it's so easy to be lured back into 2D, lured back into the inverted 3D, because you have a lot of playmates that will pull you there. It's like, oh no, this is reality. Get out of your woo-woo world. Drop that, that bullshit. Let's go back here, It's like we were talking about
normal.
Being normal. Yes. Love that one.
I mean, this is such validation for so many people. So many people have been working their asses off for so long, and I'm still meeting people. I'm meeting people at levels like you that still struggle with this or that, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. But it is getting louder, and I do see these coming together, these little groups coming together, where just being in the field, there's like a group merging happening. There's information being exchanged, and so it's actually, I can see it. Not always spoken, but I can see where everybody's actually awakening more memory within themselves, and therefore erasing what wasn't even real. You know what I mean? It's interesting, this thing as it accelerates to the end of the year. But wow, great information. This is the best one for me, and maybe it's because I've changed. I don't know. The first time I'm listening to you, I'm like, oh, I got to pay attention to every single thing. But I get I think the world's ready, to be hearing this stuff. And if you want to go deeper, we can go deeper next time. I'm ready.
Absolutely. It's like, I never know what we're going to talk about. Like today, I was just going to give you a little update and then move on to other things, but it looked like this is where we needed to go. So a lot of attention was put into that. And we went a lot deeper than I would imagine we would have gone, because so that means that the people that are listening are ready. And even in yourself, I mean, you resonated with our discussion. I'm not here to tell you anything that, is to blow anybody. Well, I shouldn't say blow anybody's mind, but to kind of confuse anybody. I'm just really, what I share is to stimulate what you already know.
Yeah. True. Very true.
And that's all it is. And we're doing it together. This is the beauty of it. And you can see how a lot more people are coming together, and they're not saying, oh, what do I get out of it for me? What do we get together? Because it is about being together, and it's about doing it together. Because one of the sayings I said some years ago was, we're going from me as an isolated me to me being every other aspect of ourselves on the playground.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even stop there, because now it's about me, of the whole planet, of the whole solar system, of our whole galaxy, of our whole universe, and beyond.
Yeah. I don't know with entire, recall or specificity, my whole soul's journey, aspects journeys, but I know enough of it to say that I'm proud to be here with everybody in this human experience. I think the human being is an absolute superstar. A lot of guts, a lot of courage, a lot of fortitude, a lot of perseverance, and big props to all of us. So until the next time, I'm really excited about where we're headed with this, Franco. Talked to Kimberly the other day, and I don't know, I feel it, and I've learned with working with Morgan, working with you, nothing comes with the energy of force. Let's just keep ourselves in check, and to thine own self be true, and It's never them, it's always me. And like you said, that me's taking on a new connotation now because it's not just me on a singular level, it's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you take care. I'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right.